Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining us for this afternoon session. My name is Matt McKinney. I'm the director of Penn State Startup Week, powered by PNC. I'm pleased to welcome our next co-speakers, William Ferguson and Paul Girgis. So first, William is a product designer at SmartPass, where he builds accessible software to improve school safety and operations. His career has taken him from designing his major at Penn State to roles at Salesforce, Sprout Social, and Handshake, also focusing on creating products within complex systems. Paul is the marketing director of Madison, helping CEOs and managing directors in professional services develop their unique market voice. His career spans industries and cities, from corporate innovation to growing a management consultancy, always guided by a passion for building trust and creating value. The title of their talk today is 10 Ways to Stand Out and Land Your Next Gig. Please help me welcome William and Paul.
Friends, it is so good to be here with you. Will and I flew in from Chicago this weekend to be with you today to try and share as much as we possibly can about helping folks navigate career transitions, finding a job, finding an internship, trying to give as much value to you as possible. And so truly, every one of the slides and ideas that we're going to share today are rooted in helping you and trying to get as specific and tactical as possible as you navigate finding a job, finding whatever is next. So I'll introduce ourselves a little bit and go through about 10 different things that hopefully will help you today.
Yeah.
Before we do that, would love to find out a little bit more about you all.
Curious, how many freshmen are in the room? Okay.
Nice.
Sophomores? Juniors? Okay, cool. Seniors?
Shout out to Smeal MBA.
How many people feel confident about what they're going to do after school? Okay, one. Maybe. How many people are looking for internships or full-time jobs? Okay, most people. Does one or two people mind just sharing like your major, your career interest after school? If we get like 2 volunteers, yeah.
Yeah, I do broadcast journalism, but
Cool.
like my focus is like sports broadcasting.
Sweet.
So I'd like to be like a sideline reporter for like a major news network or a sports anchor.
Rad.
But it's like definitely a tough business.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
A girl that I was 10 floors above me my freshman year does that and is a Penn Stater and went to the Olympics last summer. If you follow up with me, I'd love to, let's talk, but I'm
Yeah.
like, I actually know someone who I can connect you to.
Oh, perfect.
Thanks for saying that. Who
Which
else?
is the power of sharing.
Yeah.
So
literally.
thank you.
My major is
No, you're good.
my major is biology.
Cool.
I want to go into like medical sales, like
Sweet.
medical equipment sales, but I just like I need like some time to see how to break into that.
Totally. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Talk about ourselves?
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess I'm going first.
Yeah.
Great. A little bit about my background. I came to Penn State to study healthcare. I thought I was going to be a doctor like my dad and my brothers and my cousins. I was pre-med through junior year until I sort of had like a mental breakdown. I was drinking too much. I was involved with a girl I shouldn't have been involved in. My parents came to visit on a football weekend and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was not okay. I was studying the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. I still knew I wanted to help people, but my Penn State story is transitioning out of healthcare and pre-med to business, design, and entrepreneurship. Still out of a desire to help people, but more with business and design and services more so than healthcare. So there's an entrepreneurship class I took my senior year. We made this big frame out of wood or like siding and painted Penn State homecoming on it and took pictures, and we charged people like $5 for a picture. And we made like a couple $100, and it was a pivotal entrepreneurial moment for me at Penn State. To the point where I emailed Penn State's president my senior year, which was spring of 15, and pitched a job to work at the university through Invent Penn State. And so this was the launch of Launchbox back in 2015. I was there for that. That was fun. Obviously, it's a much bigger and nicer space now. Through my career, the thing is, I didn't know anything about business. I was so pre-med focused that I really needed experiences to help me learn about business, about design, about entrepreneurship. And so I had a lot of fun roles at a lot of fancy companies in Chicago, in Grand Rapids, in New York City, working at a protein bar company, working at a furniture company, working at an advertising agency. my career was very wide, and that was purposeful because eventually I knew I wanted to build my own firm. Heron Group I was an equal partner. I don't know if I'd call myself a founder of it, but I was a third equity stake in that company. It was a management consultancy, and I was in the biz dev role. I left that role, though, to help build the company I'm at now, which is Madison. We are a B2B marketing agency focused on professional services. So I help CEOs and managing partners at legal shops, consultancy, software development shops talk about their messages on LinkedIn, in their sales enablement tools, on their website, in their branding, their webinars and podcasts. That's my day-to-day. I'm loving it. I get to contribute in meaningful ways. And I think I'll land here. So many of the things that we're going to talk about today are things I have done. They're things that Will have done to go from company to company to company to land at a place that I love. I'm 33, and so it's taken me probably 10 years to get to a place that feels really good. And everything we're sharing are things we've done to help get to a point where our careers feel really good. William.
Cool. So yeah, hi everyone, my name is William. My background at Penn State, I came for finance and economics, and then quickly shifted out of that because I got plugged into the startup and entrepreneurship community here. So got involved with CoSpace and New Leaf and ran InnoBlue, which is now NES. But that kind of led me to the world of design. I went to the College of IST, worked with the professor to design my own major. My junior year, I took a gap year, and I did a program called Experience Institute. That program was a year long, and it was all about designing a year of your own learning. So it was really about getting apprenticeships to explore the career topic that I was interested in, which was design. And one of those apprenticeships was at PayPal, and that kind of started my design career. I've worked over a handful of different design roles. So I was at an innovation studio at Salesforce doing more like innovation design, helping companies think through new products and services. Worked at RX Bar with Paul. We did a lot of learning design, thinking about facilitating learning for employees at the company. I worked at two different startups, Talk, which is a startup for restaurants that got acquired by Squarespace, and then worked at Project Wayfinder, which was a social emotional learning curriculum company for K-12 schools. That kind of pushed me into the world of education. Recently was working at Handshake, doing product design, and now I work at a company called SmartPass that builds technology for K-12 schools, a lot of like operational tools, and really focused on like school safety and student movement. And then we were recently acquired by a company called Raptor. So going through the whole like product acquisition and thinking about new product strategy. So that's a little bit of my background and experience.
Let's get started.
Cool. So yeah, we'll talk about 10 different topics. And please, if you have questions along the way, I mean, this is a small group, and we'd be really excited to like have questions and conversation throughout. So the first one that I want to talk about is communicating how you work. So one of the most helpful things as I've gotten into my career, and I think Paul as well.
Yep.
If we go to the next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, you're good. So I think one of the things that's really important is like as you get into the workforce and you're working with new people and new teams, finding ways to communicate how you actually work on a team is really important. So this is an example of one way to do that. So Paul and I have both gone through this process, but this is a tool called User Manual of Me, and there's a link to the template that you can use to go through this.
We'll share slides out at the end.
Yeah, but the thesis here is creating a document that lets people understand like who you are and how you like to work, how you like to receive feedback, what kind of environments you feel like most productive and most yourself. When things are hard, how can people support you? Really just like finding different ways for other people to understand how you work, and I think this is super helpful as you start to expand your career and work with different types of people, organizations, places, finding language and an asset that you can share with others to really understand the best ways to work with you. So much of work is working with people, and learning how to work with people really well is really important. And especially early on, the easier people can understand how to best work with you, the easier it is for you to do a good job in your role. And this is a tool that has helped both of us. Anything you'd like to add?
I've done this in 2 roles before, and without my now boss and potential business partner knowing me, or me knowing him, he did this for himself, separate of like me knowing me. I did it, and then he did it separately, and it was a very sweet, like beautiful moment of, oh, Sean already has his user manual, I have mine. Without asking for it from him or from me, we both had done this, and so I think what I'm trying to say is, when you find good people to work with and you both have happened to do this, it was sort of like a serendipitous. That's what I'm trying to say. I did it, he did it, and now I know exactly how to work with him, and we ask people who are joining the team to do it for us as well.
Yeah. And I think just like even as you're thinking about internships too, it's an easy way to like stand out with your manager among other interns, just clear about your intentionality and wanting to be thoughtful about like your approach to work.
So I think the thing you do, like so what? We'll scan a QR code at the end for the slides. You click this template. I'm not going to do it now. This is in an app called Notion. Who knows they're going to have an internship or job this summer? What is your role and what are you going to do?
Yeah, my role is like a product manager, and I'm going to be working with software for the winter months.
Amazing.
Oh, cool.
As part of your welcome email, or like, hey everyone, what's your name? Nate. Hey, I'm Nate. So grateful to be here. Here's a little bit about me if you want to learn how to best work with me. I figured it might be helpful as we work together. And you just hyperlink to your user manual of me, and I think it's vulnerable, but it is such a way to stand out and invite people to how to best work with you. So I think when you're saying hello as you're onboarding, you share that. Okay, when was the last time any of you took a picture on your phone about a project, assignment, or work thing? Have you ever done that? You're smiling. Why are you smiling back?
Not really, because I haven't been that looking at it.
Sure. Has anyone taken a picture on their phone? What have you taken a picture of?
I usually take every important thing that I need for my work.
You take a what? I'm sorry.
Every important moment,
Uh-huh.
every important thing. Even I'm taking picture of this presentation as well.
That's great. What is in your line of work? What's an important moment?
It should be like I'm actually working as a procurement manager, where I'm applying different kind of industrial materials.
Cool.
So usually I take picture of that kind of equipment, their serial numbers, part numbers, their nameplates, and so on.
Yeah.
So all that information needed for the manufacturers to identify the original equipment.
Sure. That's good. That's very, very specific. I love how it's very tactical. I think the thing that has been helpful for Will and I, as we've gone about our careers, is documenting a lot of different things. It could be as specific as a individual serial number, or as big as a room like this, or all these things listed. The point is, there's a lot of nuance to all the different projects or things that you could do. There's a lot of way of telling what you do, but not a lot of way of showing. We are advocating the more you can show your work, and the better. And it starts with documenting, because you don't know what's going to be important. Taking a picture of your team dinner might be a LinkedIn post. It might be just a nice memory. Looking at your design presentation, like I did a deck for LinkedIn when I interviewed there. And it was a deck focused on me. I haven't used it recently, but I know I have that asset of, I made a custom deck for LinkedIn for a sales interview. All of that to say these are different specific things, and if I didn't show you what that actually looked like, I wouldn't be doing my job well. On this middle piece, former business partner, we made a software from scratch. Will helped us with the designs on it, and I wanted to capture this moment. This is a coffee shop 2 blocks away from my house. These were all the different screens in the document that we were going to send to the software development shop, and we were just like building an app from scratch, and I wanted to make sure we remembered that. I haven't used that necessarily in a pitch or anywhere else, but I think I did it preemptively. Over here, this is Will and I at the first launch box in 2018, doing a workshop with other students. I'm curious if you have anything to add on this one, Will.
Yeah, I think part of documenting, it's capturing all the work that you do, so that you can then tell the story of all the projects, right? There's so many things that we work on, so many things we create. When you tell that story, you could write a Google Doc with a bunch of words, or you could just show people photos and examples of what the work was. I think what's also important in documenting is like as you go about your internships and your first couple of jobs, documenting work that you do, knowing that at some point you're going to have to like put examples together of projects that you've worked on at these companies. But it doesn't have to be just projects. Like I take screenshots of when people give me really good feedback or like leave comments that are just like a nice thing for me to remember. It's like a wins folder. There's just so many times in your career where you don't always get to like remember the recognition that you got, and so capturing these moments is just a nice like reminder of you're doing good work, it's progress. It's also just like useful to share with people if you want to like showcase references or recommendations on like your website, or just nice mementos to have along the way.
You should take a picture of one event that you go to at Startup Week and then post about it. That's a social media thing, but I do think there's something like take a picture right now or throughout the presentation in a way to show, hey, I'm involved at Penn State, I'm involved in Startup Week, whatever.
How many people have a personal website or portfolio? Okay, awesome. Do you mind sharing like is it a personal website portfolio?
It's it has all like my sports broadcasting stuff on it.
Sweet.
So like anytime I go on a segment, I record a podcast episode, write an article,
Yeah.
I throw it on there.
Amazing. Okay, perfect.
It's really effective and really specific.
Yeah, that is like a great example of, like you do all this documentation, right? You like collect these assets for what our like lesson here is just like show, don't tell, right? Like you can talk about all these things you did, but if you can send someone a link that walks through like here are all the segments that I was on and a part of, is way easier than trying to describe like 10 different things that you did. So if we go to the next slide, I think there's a bunch of different ways to do this depending on like the career you're interested in or like the field that you're curious about. And these are just a couple of examples that like we have done. One might be creating a website for yourself that showcases more about who you are and your projects. I use Notion a lot as just like creating a document that has my career journey and links to projects, and I just link that out anytime I'm reaching out to somebody. Just a quick way for someone to be like, who is this person? What are they about? What are they interested in? Easy way for me to tell my story that can be a little bit more unique than just like my LinkedIn or just whatever I write in the email. Trying to be more tangible and tactical about showcasing who I am in my work. It could also be just writing, like putting together a document that just shows photos of projects. Like maybe it's about a workshop. This one over to the right is just a couple of workshops that Paul and I did, and then we wrote up a little bit of like, what was the opportunity or the problem we were trying to solve? What did we do? What were the outcomes? Here's a couple of photos. And it's an easy way to take something that could be kind of abstract into something that's more tangible. Another option is like doing something that's a video. During our year at Experience Institute, we had a handful of different apprenticeships. We had to record video throughout all of those apprenticeships and then create a video at the end that captured our like year-long experience. And that was such a great forcing function into who am I working with, what is the work that I'm doing, how do I document it, and then how do I tell that story and create it to share with other people so they can learn more about what I'm doing.
How many of your LinkedIn's, when you think about your LinkedIn, is it up to date? Like what you're shaking your head, yes. Why do you think it's up to date? What does that mean to you?
It's everything, like every big accomplishment or thing that I do, I always like write it, like record it,
Mm-hmm.
and like let's say I learn like a new thing, like a software,
Mm-hmm.
I write it down under the Penn State, like my curriculum at Penn
Mm-hmm.
State.
Oh, cool. So you're updating curriculum on your LinkedIn profile at this stage. You're a junior?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else feels like their LinkedIn isn't up to date? Why not? Why isn't it up to date?
The last update was before the Penn State, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I'm not updating it because I don't want that my customers think that I'm kind of not fully involved in their projects.
Oh,
That's a good reason.
Not to show this information.
Sure.
I'll update it once I graduate, I guess.
Sure. Okay, yeah. I like LinkedIn a lot. It's where I spend a lot of my time and energy with folks. So I think that's a question more on from my side. But good. This was good.
Yeah.
All right. When was the last time you reached out to someone that you didn't know or you were uncertain? When was the last time you reached out to someone you didn't know?
During summer, I reached out to a Penn State alum.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
He worked in Honda, and I just simply like texted him through LinkedIn, like to see if he could help me out with any ideas on how I can apply to Honda and stuff.
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
He said yeah, and he was like a high ranked person there, and like 2 weeks later, I got like an interview there.
Great.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It went well. They offered me a job, but I took something else.
So you're saying you got a job offer from a cold DM on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I think
Great
we can just
example.
Move on, right? Like, let's just. I mean, I will share more about what we've done, but that's a phenomenal example. Congrats on doing that. Not everyone does that. It is possible, friends. When I think about authentic cold outreach, reaching out to someone you don't know out of a place of like genuine interest in service and thoughtfulness, these are the 4 things that come to mind. Being relevant to their world. When you reach out, they care about themselves. They care about how they can help you, or you can help them, or that it makes them look better, or it tugs on their emotional heartstrings or business needs. It's relevant to their specific world. Genuinely human. Like, talk and act like a human. You don't have to be super formal. You need to be professional. It's a fine line, but don't be. I think the most authentic cold outreach is when it's clear you're just trying a human to human reaching out. Being clear on what you want. This is another point actually, but just specific on. Hey, I'm interested in interviewing for a full-time job, or I'm looking for a summer internship. Again, I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but being clear on what you want is important. And then ending the email on, would you be open for a 15-minute chat? I just applied for this internship. Can you help me navigate the interview process? Just being clear on what next steps are, that is effective. So the way that we can put this into action, and we're going to put it in action, we're going in about a minute and a half, we're going to ask you to actually take action on this. So the framework to sort of put that all together is AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. How do you get their attention? By being relevant. How do you pique their interest? Showing you've done like your homework, or you know what their world is about. What do you want? And then what is the next step? So again, this is the framework, and Will has done this very well over the past couple of years. So I think this is an example from a designer you reached out to, right?
Yeah. So just an example, right? There's different ways to do this. I think you sharing the story about reaching out to someone on LinkedIn who works at Honda, like a perfect example too. For me, I was interviewing, I was trying to find another design role, and I had seen that a ed tech company that I follow, the head of design posted that he was hiring. And so I quickly applied, and then I just sent Phil, who's the head of design there, an email talking about like, hey, like, congrats on the amazing work Wayfinder's doing. My name is William, and then I'm a designer who cares deeply about learning and designing experiences that help people thrive, inspired by what you're building at Wayfinder. And saw an open role. So right, I'm just trying to like build some connection, get some attention, build some interest, and then would you be open to a 20-minute virtual like coffee, right? 20 minutes is, like, I'm not asking for an hour-long meeting, I'm not asking for an interview, I'm just asking for 20 minutes of that person's time. It's a much easier ask than like, hey, could you set up an interview for me, right? Or like, could we hop on the phone? Making it super, super specific. And then if it's helpful, like, here's a little bit more about me. And so again, this is bringing in like, okay, if I have a website, if I have projects that I've done, things that are going to be relevant to that person and them considering me for a role, I link it there so it's easy like for that person to assess me and understand if there could be a fit there.
Like, the year was 2022. It's literally, it says Notion, which is the website is basically personal portfolio, the user manual of me, which we just talked about, and a video recap as the Experience Institute.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're not just like we're not making this up. It's truly from 2022, and he linked them there. All of these things helped. And what happened after this? What happened after this?
Yeah, we got connected, and I went through the interview process and got a job there. And I think that like does it work every time? No. Like, I mean, I've had a ton of these where they go nowhere, but I've had a handful of them that I get connected to the person. It's very clear that I'm like understanding their business, that they're hiring. I'm showcasing like my work and my ability and how it aligns. And it's just so much easier for them to want to help, right? To want to reflect my intentions and take the time, because it's clear that I'm putting in the work and understanding what they need and what I can bring.
So, what are we going to do about it? In the next 5 minutes, we're going to ask you to actually craft a message to someone who you do not have to send it. We're not going to force you to send it, but we do want you to get a piece of paper out or get your laptop out and actually write, hey, well, I think like a LinkedIn connection request is like 250 characters or whatever that is.
Yep.
You need to write 4 sentences on someone, to someone that you might reach out to. And I actually have 2 people for you. I'm going to give you the person's name, and then I have someone for you too. So we don't have music, but we'll put on a timer. Like, think about who you would reach out to, a specific person on LinkedIn or at the college or like a hiring manager. Maybe you don't know the name of the person, but
someone who inspires you,
yeah,
or you would be interested in connecting with, right?
And write 4 sentences on using this framework.
I know, I'm now just going through my LinkedIn.
I know.
Okay, who could I?
Yeah.
You said sports?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's just like, oh, I'm thinking it's like a type of like.
Yeah. She's like
Wait.
a sports broadcaster who went to the Olympics.
Okay.
Penn State. Good question.
Yeah.
This was over email. What would be a good subject line?
Ooh, good question.
I think it probably depends on like who the audience is,
Yeah.
and also just like your style of communicating. I use like question from a curious designer a ton, or like when I was at Penn State, I would be like question from a Penn State student. I think something that like quickly shows the connection and is like interesting, if that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Wait, was she in PLA? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's in PLA.
Yeah.
Okay, she's great. It's the exact person I was also thinking.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She's great. She lived, I was in 204 Sprout, she was in 904 Sprout Hall. You found her?
Connect right now,
Yeah,
yes,
good.
thank you.
What's your name?
Sophia,
Sophia.
Monteforte,
M-O-N-T.
E-F-O-R-T-E.
Did you set a timer?
No.
Okay, I'll set a timer. Cool, we'll do like 3 more minutes. Is it 2:01?
Okay, great. Oh, we have one. That's what I said.
Yeah.
I know you have interest.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're totally good.
how do you go from there? Like, I can see you said you asked them like questions about their journey and stuff. Like, what would you kind of do from there?
Yeah, I think that's obviously a very important part. So great question. I think that part of it depends on the context. Like for this example, I knew Phil was hiring, and so part of just getting the conversation is to, like, I already know he's hiring, and so it's an easy way to like connect and then try to understand like what are they looking for, share a little bit about myself that ties to that, and then the follow-up for me was like, hey, I'm really interested. Do you think there's an opportunity here? Is there anything I could follow up with that would be helpful as you're like thinking about it, right? If it's not, go ahead.
There's two more slides or two more ideas that hit on doing your homework and knowing what you want that I think directly fuel answering that question.
Okay, that's very good.
Maybe one more minute. Is anyone still working on it? Yeah, okay. What's the brand on that?
Yeah. Treasury and share.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's have one or two people share like what they wrote, if you're up for it.
Like who the person is, and yeah, what you wrote.
Go for it.
This is actually a condensed version of one that I sent this morning to, his name's Joe, he's the owner of Giuseppe's Pizza downtown.
Oh, fun.
Actually, this is like pitching, my business, like my startup.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Do it, let's hear it.
So hi Joe, I'm Owen Girgis, Penn State junior and a co-founder of Pidja. We launched 7 days ago and generated over $2,000 in revenue for our 8 businesses. Pidja connects Penn State students with downtown businesses through exclusive deals, focusing on driving traffic during slow hours. Our users are asking for Giuseppe's, and I'd love to meet for 15 minutes this week to discuss partnership opportunities.
It's pretty good.
Cool.
Will you send
I
that
haven't heard
yesterday?
back from them yet.
Sure.
But
Well, because you shared, you get a reward for sharing and shipping your cold email. It's $15 from Startup Week to Brazilian Munchies. It's a food truck outside. Thanks for sharing. And the shipping something to people you don't know is scary, so you get $15. Hopefully you get more dollars from Giuseppe's. Who else would like to share? One more. There is $15 on the line. Go for it.
Shane. So I just sent mine to, it's actually a YouTuber.
Oh, cool.
That I love watching their videos. So it's called Everyday Astronaut. So they make
Cool.
like space type videos,
Sweet.
content. So I reached out on LinkedIn. I said, hey Tim, hope all is well in your corner of the world. Took that little line.
Fun.
Congrats on everything you built with the YouTube channel and amazing content. My name is Shane and I'm an entrepreneur and student at Penn State University that is passionate about space and technology. I'm very inspired by your content and passion for space and wanted to reach out to talk. If you're open for a 15-minute phone call, I'd love to learn more about your journey. And then I said thanks. And
$15. You hit ship.
all right,
Well done.
thank you.
If he doesn't respond, I think my feedback or push to you was, what would you spend 15 minutes talking about? Like,
Yeah.
the 3 things I would love to know about you are A, B, and C. And in another slide, we'll get more into specific on how to shape that first call. But I think, or what 3 questions would you want him to answer?
Okay.
Because the more specific about what you want, the better. And again, we're going to get to it, but you hit ship, which is what matters.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, I think it can be super simple, which I think is nice. I think sometimes there's this barrier of like wanting to reach out to certain people, and it's scary and hard and can feel like a lot, and you can spend 3 minutes and send a message and maybe it goes somewhere. Okay, so then the other kind of element of this is staying top of mind. So how many people here have a mentor? Okay. How often do you connect with that person? Like what frequency?
once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cedric, what about you? When was the last time you talked to them?
Every 2 weeks.
In the back?
Like there are multiple mentors, and
Yeah.
there are ones where I talk on a 3-month basis, and there are ones where I talk to weekly with advisors.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, so there's the reaching out to people and getting connected, and then there is the element of staying top of mind. And so I think the main kind of takeaway here is you build this network, and when you're looking for something at times, it's hard to just like throw it out to this network who you interact with maybe once or twice a year, right? And so people want to help you, but they need to have, like, you need to be top of mind for them, so when they see the thing that you're looking for, they can make that connection, right? So this is just an example. I was searching for a design role. I reached out to this company called Guild Education. They're based in Denver. And I reached out with one of the design managers. We had a chat using the email that I showed you in the other slide. And they weren't hiring. So she was like, hey, thanks so much for reaching out and sharing about yourself. It's great to hear that you're interested. Transparently, we have a role, but we're in final stages of giving that offer to somebody. But we'd love to stay connected. So over the next couple of months, I sent her, as I was job searching, I was working on some side projects in the education space. I would send her updates and just like check in, see how things were going. 3 months later, she reached out to me saying like, hey, we just opened up a role and I had thought of you. Curious if you're interested, don't know if you're still looking. And I think that part of it is like, you make it clear what your intentions are, but then also like make it clear that you want to connect with them as just a person and stay in their network. It's not always just about like, making the ask and having it feel transactional. It's about like building that relationship and maintaining it. So something might not come right away, but if you're interested in the same things and you kind of foster that relationship, when something comes up and they think of you, it makes it easier for them to build that connection, right? If you're top of mind.
I want to tell you about Zach Welch, who got an internship when one didn't exist at the company I was formerly at. Truly, the company's on center, we changed names, Heron, it's a little confusing. I was eating lunch on this street in Chicago, and all of a sudden I see these 2 students walk by me with these big scientific posters. I'm like, is that a scientific poster? He's like, yes. We chat on the side of the street in downtown Chicago, and we realize we have some mutual connections in the city. He's a sophomore at Wheaton College at the time, and he finds me on LinkedIn, he DMs me on LinkedIn, and he sort of aggressively is following up in a really thoughtful and genuine way. We didn't have an internship program, we weren't hiring, we never had a posting, but we were a small growing team that needed some extra help that summer, and he was a student who was going to be working in the city that summer. And so Zach connected with me. I shared his LinkedIn profile with my co-founders. He ended up sending us 3 or 4 different of his examples of work. He's a pretty good writer, and so he sent us what he wrote or what he did. And then he found Derek, my co-founder, CEO, on LinkedIn, and he was DMing Derek at 10 o'clock on a Friday night while Derek was watching like basketball or something. And then he got an internship, and we paid him like several $1,000s to work with us over the summer. He did great work. He was on client-facing work. He was in the weeds with clients, but he was top of mind. He stayed top of mind, and he got an internship that didn't exist. And I think that's, I really love Zach. He's doing good things now. But it's a very real story, and it has real results. All right, we're going to go on to tools. Tools we use sort of metaphorically as software. I think more than anything, it's software. Can a few people who haven't spoken yet share one of the software tools, or what tools do you use? I haven't heard from you yet, so I'm going to ask. What tools do you use?
Honestly, just to build my own brand, I mostly use LinkedIn. I like posting there a lot and just updating people on what I'm doing. I also reach out a lot to people, what you mentioned about cold reaching out. I've done around 6-7 times to industrial engineers in the industry and just asked for their advice or just to meet up and gain insights from them.
LinkedIn, great tool. What's another tool that someone else uses? Software that you use for your job or your assignment. What do you got, Justin?
I use Loom.
Yeah. Love Loom. Does anyone know what Loom is? We'll talk about it in a little bit, so I won't go more into it. But you, as students, you have more time and like ability to learn software tools and things that will make you better than ever. You've never been in a better position to learn tools than right now, or at the early sides of your career. Getting good at Excel, getting good at Loom, getting good at LinkedIn, getting good at like Canva, or at those other tools that I can just actually pull up, can be such a lever in how you can add value. Can be such a lever in how you stand out. Because if you're brought in as an intern, you're brought in as a full-time employee, your job is to deliver, to do a job, basically. That job requires tools. If you can be faster or better or smarter with any of these tools that you might use that are up here, the more you will stand out, the more value you will be able to give, and the more value you'll probably get. There's a handful of different things here. This GIF is within Notion. It's the back end of my company. It shows you how in-depth our company portal is for everything that we do, from our CRM to our deals to our standard operating procedures. Because I know how Notion operates, I can go so much faster than if I had to learn Notion. And we have teammates that are learning Notion, and they're struggling. Loom is a video app that you can take a little screen video of your face as you scroll and look at a website or at your screen. It's a very effective tool for clearly and concisely communicating information digitally, asynchronously. There's so many buzzwords. What would you add to this?
I think the only thing I would add is it can also be very like industry specific, right?
Yes.
So if you're interested in sports broadcasting, right, there are probably a plethora of different tools that are used in that space. And so it's like, how can you learn about what they are, and then how can you get as familiar with them as possible, so that as you're exploring opportunities and someone's like, oh, this internship or this job needs to be able to do this, it's like, I've already spent time in it, yes. Like, as like my team hires, we think about like, who are people that can help us learn these tools better, because we don't always have the space and time to like get better at the tools while we're doing all our work. So it's fun to bring people in. We want to bring people in who are good at them and can teach us, right? So I think like, what are the tools that your industry that you're interested in use a lot of, and how do you spend time and get really good at them? Because it's a way to stand out, and it's leverage that you have that a lot of people just like don't spend time getting good at these tools.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like you have a nugget or something. Justin is,
No, just a question. What's
Sure.
that blue circle logo?
Oh, the blue circle logo is a tool called Linear.
Okay.
It's a project management tool that I feel like a lot of startups are starting to use to like manage initiatives and then manage projects. And again, it's one of those things like, you could sign up for an account and start using that, and you find a company who's using it, and it's like you're speaking the same language, which is really nice.
Thanks a lot.
I want to make sure we have time for Q&A at the end, and so we're going to keep moving. But when we get to Q&A, we would love a lot of questions. So like, if we could get through 10, I'm just planting that seed. If you have a question, we'd love to go quickly through questions.
When was the last time somebody did something thoughtful for you? Oh, someone's got to have something. Nothing.
Parent?
Okay.
I told my mom that like, I was just on a call with her, and it's like, I don't have any like snacks in my dorm.
Yeah.
And she sent me like this massive like pack of like a bunch of different snacks. It was the best.
That's amazing.
That's very thoughtful.
It's like, it's funny how much of a different a moment like that makes. And I think like, it is easy to get bogged down in the internship job search that is just so transactional. It's hard sometimes to remember like, we're all humans, and like the small details of interactions or the things we create matter a lot, and they go really far. Like, emotional resonance is really, really important as you're trying to build these connections, you're trying to stand out, you're trying to progress in your career. So this is just a call out of like sending thank you emails, and like, you know, someone takes the time to have a call with you, sending them a thank you email, and just acknowledging something that they taught you, and like, hey, I really appreciate you sharing this. I went and looked it up. super helpful. But just like kind of anchoring back to like the human element of these things is, I think, super important and very easy to do. It does not cost you much time at all or effort, but it makes things much more personal and people remember how you make them feel, not always what you say, right? This middle example is just, as I've done interviews, I build decks for like every company I interview at. I just like put the company's logo, I'll put like what excites me about the company, and I'll just call out like what's unique about that company. So I was interviewing at Stripe, calling out complexity, scale, and like a global presence, right? And then I have talking points around those. But it's just about like trying to tell the story and like bring the connection back to like, I'm paying attention, I'm trying to be thoughtful, I'm trying to really connect to their brand. Paul, the example you have here.
We do marketing work for professional services firms. We built a deck that is really pretty and years better than what they had. Their stuff looked like it was from the 90s. And I have verbal on follow-on work, but like it's clear you had good design skills, good attention to detail. We'd love to bring you on for more work. That's more in client services and client sales, but I think for you all, as you're navigating internships and trying to get good grades and trying to impress people that might want to hire you, details matter. Details add up. When was the last time you asked for something you didn't think you'd get? I feel like, Justin, you pitch often. What was the last company you pitched that you didn't think you'd get?
This one company, NBA 2K, emailed us and was like, hey, can you do a video for us? And I was like, sure, but like internally I didn't really want to do it because we had so much going on, even though I love 2K. So I threw out a really high number, and I was like, there's no way they say yes to this. And then they said, sure, we'll do two of them. I was like, what? All right, I guess we're doing it.
That's a very good little vignette. Thanks for teeing that up, Justin. Love that for you guys. The point here is, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. That's the reality. I know it's cliche. And my life was changed when I made a really big ask. This is an email to Penn State's president, literally president@psu.edu on January 27, 2015. I'd like to be the undergraduate student voice of entrepreneurship next year. This is when Invent Penn State was launching back in 2015, and I wanted to be a part of it. As you know, part of my story, I was leaving healthcare into entrepreneurship design, and I wanted to be a part of what Penn State was doing. But I was very clear on it. It took courage and encouragement to send an email to the president of the university. I didn't think I would get it. I'm not sure. I would love to have written a much shorter email than this one without, whatever, I'm not going to critique my stuff. I'm glad I sent it and I got a job out of it. I'm also in a sales role, and if you don't ask for work, you might not get it. If you don't ask for, and if you know someone hiring for internships, you might not get it. And so, ask, because you don't. The worst thing people could say is no, or they might like personally offend you. That is worse, but no is an option. I'm gonna do this one. Yeah. How many of you looked up either of our LinkedIns before you came to this? Matt doesn't count. Cedric, you did. Why did you look up our LinkedIn?
I mean, I'd like to know more about whoever's presenting, but interesting.
Yeah. I think there is the point of this slide. The more you can know about who you're talking to, who's presenting, who is in the room with you, the more likely you'll be able to stand out and they can help you with whatever you might need. What does doing your homework look like? And this goes back to your point of when you get the thing, what do you actually do? The why of doing your homework is so that this shows you care and you're proactive. If they like you, they're more likely to help you. And you might be able to help them solve a problem more so than anything else. There's more specifics on the who, the what, the how. The who and the what are not that interesting or not that specific, but I do want to hit on the how. Like, spend 30, if you're interviewing for someone, if you're coming to a presentation like this, if you are doing cold, if you're trying to network within your company, block 30 to 60 minutes to prep for who you're talking to. So you can prep questions, you can see if you have mutual connections on LinkedIn, you can see if they have a hobby that also is your hobby. The more context you can have before meeting someone, the better, candidly, especially if you're trying to get something from them, like a job, an internship, an introduction to someone. The more research or homework you can do, the better.
Yeah.
Do you have a slide on this?
I think just to add on, as we look for interns, it always shocks me how many people, when we're interviewing, will ask us to like share our career journey, which I think is like great, but it's also like some of that stuff's available. And so having people who have already looked like, hey, I saw you worked at this company and this company, and I'm really curious about your experience doing this, like that question stands out a lot more to me, because I'm like, okay, you took time to research and gain some context. Or they'll ask very specific questions about our business, right? They'll like go into ChatGPT and they'll be like, this business, what's the latest news with them? It'll pull articles or give information, and then people have a starting place to like ask more specific questions about our business. And that, like, those just stand out a lot more, because it's clear that someone's spending the time to just do their due diligence.
If you're asking bad questions in an interview, things that you could have looked up online ahead of time, it doesn't look good. Like, you don't waste the interviewer's, the manager's time by asking questions that are available online. I think that's the harsher way of putting it, but it's true.
Okay, this is know what you want next, be specific. And I think this kind of ties a lot of stuff that we've talked about today. But I'm curious, how many people of you feel confident you know what you're doing right after school? Sort of. We got some people kind of.
Sort of.
Okay, cool. So the real intention here is like when you're searching, when you're trying to think about what's next, you're asking for advice from people, you're looking for internships or jobs. Like the more specific you can be about what you're looking for, the easier it is for Paul and I or anybody else to help you. And I think specifically what this can look like. Here's an example of emails that Paul and I get pretty often, which is, do you know anyone hiring for internships? This is literally a marketing sophomore that reached out. Probably, but what types of companies, when's the internship, what types of roles are you interested in? Versus somebody else who reaches out that says, do you know any ed tech companies based in Chicago, where we're based, looking for marketing internships this summer? Like that level of specificity is like, okay, now I can start to think about what companies do I know in Chicago that are ed tech companies, and what other people might be hiring marketing internships, right? Like they're helping me help them by being very, very specific.
On the far left, I had a friend reach out who I want to help. I asked her, like, how can I help? Where are you at in your job search? I'd love to be helpful. And she said, ed tech, people development, and empowerment. And I want to help her. I didn't know what to do with that. And I'm asking to help you, but that wasn't enough information for me to be proactive. She ended up sending me someone at a company that I knew, and it was a mutual connection, and they were hiring, and so I sent him a DM, and then they got an interview, which was great, but it took her another step after that. I was speaking at Loyola University in Chicago a month ago, and I pulled up different students' LinkedIn profiles. So this is Steven Jackson, and what I like about his LinkedIn profile is it's a second-year finance student at Loyola. Maybe he doesn't need that context because it's already over here, but seeking summer 2025 internship. Another student had seeking 2025 like wealth management internship. Being clear on who you are and what you want very quickly it helps other people know how to help you. Even with you two, it's like, oh, I know someone in medical sales, I'm happy to connect you. I know someone who's a Penn Stater, I'm happy to help you. Finally, Will has a pretty good example of someone being very, very specific.
And I think it's also important to show an example. It's not always like, hey, is someone hiring? Is there a job or an internship, right? You might just be looking for advice. And this was a student who I'm mentoring, and they reached out, and it was, I was offered an internship today at this company, and I am hearing back from this other company. I was hoping to get some guidance around choosing between these two. Here's what I like about this one, here's what I don't like about this one. I would love to just chat through weighing two options with you, right? Like that ask is easy for me to be like, cool, I can spend 30 minutes working through, just chatting through this decision this person needs to make. But they're being very specific about like, hey, I'm looking for your advice, it is about this thing, versus like, hey, I'm curious to get advice about internships, right? Like the more specific and clear you can be, the easier it is for people to opt in, and people want to help students. And so the more specific and clear you can be, the easier it is for people to be like, yes.
How would you make your ask to the guy on LinkedIn more specific based off of this?
I would be more specific on the actual information that I want to find out, like how does he, like what's his filming process, or like,
Totally.
how did he specifically get into the industry itself, or I don't know,
Yeah.
more specific.
More, yeah. Both of those are like, oh, I'm sure if that's what you really want to learn about, it's that the light bulb went off in my head around, oh, I know how we could frame this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look sort of confused. I'm curious. Like, has any of it, not confused, you look like something is resonating. I'm curious what's on your mind with this.
I'm just paying really attention to like going back into like I think in the past when I reach out to people, think about like how I could have like improved the way that I communicate with them. I was like thinking about that. Yeah, we'll pay attention.
Amazing.
No,
Amazing.
that's great. Thank you for sharing.
Sweet. That just about. Oh, you have another thought?
No, I think that's.
I think that just about wraps up like the official lessons. So, truly, we would love to get through like 5 to 10 questions right now. Whatever's top of mind. Who has the first question? Clearly not Justin. Please, Nate. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate.
Of course, looking at you guys on LinkedIn, you guys were hopping off different companies,
Totally.
big and small. I was just wondering, especially from my career, like, do you guys think that smaller companies give more opportunities to learn skills very quickly rather than bigger companies?
Do smaller companies give you access to building skills more quickly than other companies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think from my experience working at larger companies, you get to go deeper in a very specific thing, which, depending on what you're interested in, might be nice. The nice thing about working at some smaller companies is you get to be more of a generalist. So if you're curious about a lot of different things or you want to explore different parts of a business, way easier to do that at a smaller company, right? Because there's less logistics involved to getting involved. There's just less people. Communication's a lot easier. So if you want to go really deep in something niche, I think larger companies are great for that. If you want to explore and be more of a generalist and do a handful of different things, smaller companies can be a really great way to just like learn a lot.
Yeah, it's a good question. We'd love to talk to you more. We have office hours after this. If you want to go deeper, happy to talk more about that. Yeah, who's got the next question? Yes, sir.
So you mentioned like you grew up in like a medical based field and made that transition. How do you overcome like the pressure that your parents put on you, like when making a huge career transition like that?
A mental breakdown will help you realize that everything was not okay. I have very gracious, loving parents. That's part of it. Christian faith's a big part of it for me, and like my inner relationship with God was a big part of that decision-making process. I felt a ton of peace spiritually around that decision when I felt like it was time. And they saw I wasn't doing well. Like, they were concerned when they visited me that weekend my junior year. To be very specific, I was afraid my mom was going to have a lot of questions, and I was afraid my dad, I didn't know what my dad was going to do. He's a Middle Eastern, Egyptian, traditional, patriarchal, awesome dude. My mom didn't have any questions, and my dad was like, you have my complete support. It's scary, but like we have the best relationship we've ever been. And my brother's joining the family medical practice, so he's checked that box. Thanks for asking that question. Who's got the next one? Yes, sir.
So, as someone who, I'm an engineering probably major on the side tech right now, but I want to be getting into entrepreneurship, developing my own product,
Cool.
and kind of focusing on that and technology. Do you have any advice on how to gain those skills on how to like build a product like that? Like, do you think it's worth getting internships at companies? You guys have worked with a lot of different companies to like get the experience to take that into building your own thing.
Yeah, I think I definitely think it's helpful to get experience at companies to see like when you're building something and it's being built really well, what does that look like? And when something is being built and it's not a great environment or team doesn't work really well, what does that look like? I think it's helpful for shaping like what you want to work on to see different contexts, right, and get to experience it. And also like working on your own projects is a great way to do it. on your own time too, right? Like
Yeah.
getting to explore on your own specific things you're interested in, like trying to build some of your own stuff is a great way to learn. But you can't always learn like at scale sometimes on your own project. So working at companies is like, like our company works with hundreds of thousands of schools and millions of students, and like I can't build my own product and learn that in a couple months, right? So it's like for me, it's so helpful to get that type of experience. But there's a lot you can do on your own time too. Yeah.
We're just about maybe one more question. I want to be respectful of people's time. Go for it.
Like building on what you guys were saying, you recommend like usually getting a job first, having like years of experience, and then like trying to think about like doing your own thing, or it doesn't matter. Like, could I just out of college like go into like something that I've been developing?
That is like the question, and there's a few things I think at my story is that I got a bunch of different experiences, and when I turned 30, I wanted to build my own thing because I had about a decade of experience to build on top of and start playing. When you're coming out of school, you don't have a ton of experience. You don't have a ton of like, you might have a unicorn app, but you also, if you're not getting paid out of it, like taking a job is probably the right thing to do to pay off debt, to sort of get your life figured out. You've never known what not being a student is, and having a corporate job or having a job the first few years out of school, if you're not a savant and you don't have a unicorn, is probably a good idea. I don't know if that's controversial for Startup Week. Unless you're like making 10 grand a month on your app, how are you going to sustain yourself? I think is a question that I would ask anyone. I don't know, what would you say to that?
I think it's probably situational, right?
Yeah.
I think it also can be both. Like the two founders that started SmartPass started it while they were in college, took jobs, worked those jobs for a year, realized that they had enough of a product that they could turn it into a business. So they both just quit their jobs and built the company. But they got to work on it on the side and like took the pressure off of needing to make money right away to like explore and feel like they could get it right. And then took the leap when it was like, cool, there's enough here. So it can be both too.
It can be both. Make sure there's enough. Is it a business or is it a side project? If you can pay rent and like bills and build a life off of it, then sure. If you can't, maybe do both for a little bit. Friends, thank you so much. You've been a great audience. We've got office hours at 3 on the 4th floor, I think. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.